How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Mother Sponge 5000, and in this video, we're going to talk more about this next potential major Midwest and Northeast snowstorm, where now the confidence is higher that we're going to see at least some sort of snowstorm move through the Midwest and the Northeast by next week, where we could see significant snow totals over a large area. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more whether they call it. So let's take a look at the European model's forecast right off the bat, and we do see that the European model, by right around the Thursday, the time frame, we do see that this snowstorm does develop right around the northern Midwest and the Great Lakes, where we do see some heavy snowfall right around Michigan. And if I were to continue to move forward, we see that snow will eventually move towards the Northeast, where portions of northern Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and the metropolitan area of New York City could get involved with some snowfall, and this snowfall could be heavy at times. And while the snow area isn't necessarily extremely large, there still could easily be that possibility that this area of snow could be larger. It really all depends on this ridge that's going to be centered just to the northeast of this storm. We're going to have to see how far south this ridge really digs in, because that will determine the amount of instability the solar pressure system will experience, which will allow it to strengthen a little bit more if there's a little bit more instability. And also it'll determine how large an area of snow will be, because of course the cooler the air is right around the Northeast and the Midwest, the larger the snow area will be, which would bring more impacts to even more people across the Northeast and the Midwest. So we're gonna need to pay very close attention to that. And I was talking to you guys about last video that this solar pressure system had the possibility to develop potentially into a snowstorm, and now it's becoming a little bit more likely, and there could be, of course, another snowstorm right behind it as a result of a trough coming off the Pacific Northwest, where we do see that a trough begins to move through the Midwest, and we see heavy snow throughout the northern Midwest. And while it's a rain event in this depiction of the European model, the GFS model shows a different story, where it wants to bring a heavier amount of snowfall to the northeast. So taking a look at the 12Z run, the 18Z run is releasing right as we speak right now. And here's this first snowstorm. The GFS model isn't as lenient as the European model, as bringing as much snow associated with this first snowstorm that's expected to move through the Thursday and Friday time frame. However, this second snowstorm could bring a heavy amount of snow throughout a large portion of the Northeast as well as the Midwest, especially the northern Midwest right around Minnesota and the northern portion of Wisconsin, where it seems like the GFS model is a little bit more lenient, that a jet stream will be just south enough to bring more snow to the Northeast. So there's going to be a fairly difficult forecast over the next several days, because of course we're really going to need to determine how much cold air there will be right around the Midwest and the Northeast. And I'd say we will get a good idea of how much cold air there will be by the time we approach the Tuesday and Wednesday time frame, just before the solar pressure system develops into a potentially significant snowstorm, because that's when this ridge will approach the United States, and depending on the position of this ridge, that will determine how much cold air the United States will experience by the time the solar pressure system reaches the Midwest. So we're going to need to pay close attention to how far south this ridge dips, and that really all depends on how strong the northerly winds will be associated with these next few troughs that are going to move through. And we're going to have quite a few troughs that are expecting to move through just to the north of the United States border over the next several days. We have this Clipper system going to bring a decent amount of northwesterly winds, and that will steer the Arctic ridges further southward to lower the temperature. And depending on how far south it moves, that will determine the possibility of a snowstorm. However, the fact that both of the GFS and the European models are agreeing that there's at least going to be some snow associated with this solar pressure system does certainly raise the confidence that there's at least going to be some a little bit of snow right around the Midwest and the Northeast by the time we approach the Thursday to Friday time frame. There's still a lot of time. I'm going around 6 days out with this forecast, but we're quickly approaching that period where the confidence definitely does begin to exponentially increase. And based on the fact that both the computer models are in agreement, that does certainly raise confidence. So that's certainly something to keep in mind, and definitely something to be alert of in the northern Midwest and including the Northeast, where of course there is that possibility you could experience your first heavy snowfall right around the Northeast. So definitely something to keep in mind now with both of the computer models in pretty good agreement with each other. And even with the second low pressure system that's expected to move through, there's a lot of similarities between the GFS and the European model when it comes to the exact track and the area of snow, and at least the strength of this low pressure system as well. So based on that fact, there's certainly higher confidence with these two forecast models than there ever has been over the past several days. So I'd say the chance that at least some place in the Midwest and Northeast will experience snowfall is pretty high. Now the big question remains how large that area of snow will be, and I'm sure the bigger cities such as New York City, Philadelphia, you guys are hoping for some snowfall while other people might be dreading the snowfall. Well, to really determine if you'll experience snowfall, again, depends on the cold air, and that still has yet to be seen. And I wouldn't say we'll get a really good confidence of how significant this snowstorm will be probably until the Monday, Tuesday time frame. But I'll keep you guys updated over the next several days. Now, taking a look at the 18Z run from the GFS model, which is coming out as we speak. If I were to continue to move forward, we see mostly the same thing as of right now, and now we're seeing a little bit more snow throughout Minnesota and Wisconsin, and we do see that the jet stream is still pretty far north, so unless this ridge could bring another blast of cold air to the Northeast, it seems like a lot of the bigger cities might be in for a rain event based on this latest depiction of the GFS model. We're gonna have to wait and see, but I'll keep you guys updated over the next several days. But even if these next potential two snowstorms don't come for fruition for your area, the GFS model is pretty confident that this pattern where there's going to be a possibility of snowstorms will build by the time we approach next week. If I were to show you guys, taking a look back at the 12Z run, even after these two snowstorms, there's going to be more possibilities of snowstorms, because after this one, we have this potential nor'easter. It's still way too far out to really say with confidence whether this has possibility of happening or not, but we do see that the jet stream is expected to dip down further southward by the time we approach mid-December, like I've been talking to you guys about over the past several videos. So even after these two potential snowstorms, you guys might not be done throughout the Midwest and Northeast when it comes to heavy snowfall patterns. So that's definitely something to keep in mind in the more long-term future. But I'll keep you guys updated over the next several days regarding these next two potential snowstorms. Let's take a look back at the 18Z run to see how high the confidence is, and we do see that the jet stream's pretty far up north in this scenario. So the GFS model is now leaning a little bit more towards the jet stream being a little bit further northward, which would prevent the snow from happening in the Northeast. So it's still a lot of time to iron out the forecast. Let's take a look at the forecasted snow totals from the GFS and the European model. Let's first take a look at the European model, and we do see the European model wants to take a heavier amount of snowfall throughout the Northeast and the Midwest in this depiction, where we do see over a foot of snow right around northern Pennsylvania, and this even extends to New York City area, where you could experience potentially 1 to 3 inches of snow, and you're not very far from receiving 3 to 6 inches of snow in this scenario. And just north of Chicago as well, you could experience heavy snowfall. So we're definitely gonna need to pay close attention to these next two snowstorms, since there is that possibility it could dump very heavy snowfall if this were to come for fruition, which still has yet to be seen. Taking a look at what the GFS model is forecasting when it comes to snowfall into next week. if I were to continue to move forward, we do see that the Northeast would be in for some heavier snowfall as well. And we do see the area of snow and the snowfall accumulation area is very similar to what the European model is forecasting. So the confidence is certainly higher associated with these next two snowstorms, but still uncertain. So I'll keep you guys updated over the next several days. I'll take a look at the North Atlantic Oscillation. We see that by the mid-December time period, negative North Atlantic oscillations are expected to dominate, which means that we're more likely to see more jet stream dips, more snowstorms, more cold blasts, all the conditions you'd expect for a more active than usual winter when it comes to snowfall and cold air. You should expect to approach as we approach the mid-December time period. So I do expect that there's going to be plenty of possibilities of snowstorms by the time we approach that point of December. Now, take a look at my forecast when it comes to the next potential major Midwest and Northeast snowstorm. So we do see that I'm still expecting a large area of snow, and it could impact this snow could impact a large portion of the Midwest and Northeast, and including the large population centers such as New York City, Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago could all get involved with this next major snowstorm. But I'll keep you guys updated over the next several days, since the confidence is still relatively low when it comes to the certainty. But the confidence has definitely risen over the past several days, as it seems like both the two main computer models are agreeing that there will be at least some sort of snow. We're really going to need to determine how much cold air there will be, but I'll keep you guys updated. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content, and I hope you guys have a great day.